Hey guys, and welcome to Uncorked, a podcast where we get raw and real, all while under the influence. We are your hosts. I am Madison.
And I am Katie. Thank you guys for joining us. Before we get started, we're going to go ahead and open our bottle of wine that we have. Today we have a Jolly Juice from Country Heritage Winery. It is a Christmas edition wine. We are a few weeks behind, don't worry. But it is a sweet red wine. It's their holiday blend. A blend perfect for the holidays, blendedly sweet with a touch of tartness that pairs well with holiday meals and family. All right. You ready, Madison?
I'm ready. This is my favorite wine. I had to stock up.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I still
saw
have it.
in your kitchen. You had like 4 bottles.
Yeah.
Ooh, there we go. And today's topic, we're just going to be talking about healthy communication, especially with your partner. There you go, Madison.
Oh, thank you.
Put that out there. Okay. First off, we just wanted to talk about why we chose this. One of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is because communication is one of, if not the most important part of a relationship, especially with your partner. I grew up in relationships that haven't had that in the past, and it has been tough, whether it was a boyfriend, friends, or family, just getting close to them because I didn't really know how to communicate. And transitioning into a healthy relationship from that has been hard. I wasn't sure how to communicate clearly when I first started dating my husband. So, yeah.
I think for me, like, relationships are hard work, no matter if it's like a boyfriend, like a partner, or parents, or like family, friends. And I think some people think that it's easy. Like, once you find someone that you love and stuff, that it's just easy and everyone's so happy, and everyone who's like been married for so long, they just look so happy. But I think that it's important to talk about how much hard work goes into it and how everyone communicates differently, and that it's hard to like even find out how your own self, like how you communicate.
Right. Healthy communication definitely takes practice and perseverance. It doesn't happen overnight. Today we'll be giving you some tips and tricks to help you guys out. What was your very first intimate relationship like, Madison?
It was in high school. It wasn't very like anything crazy.
Right.
You thought you were in high school, so you're like, oh my gosh, I love this person. We're gonna be together forever. But we had terrible communication.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard, one, being in high school because you don't like see each other all the time. You just see each other during school and then you go home.
Right.
So you don't really see each other that much, and you're still in high school, so you're young and dumb. So we had no communication. It was kind of terrible, but
yeah,
at the moment you feel like you have it all and you're like so happy and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not.
Definitely strange in high school because you're still trying to learn about yourself too, and trying to figure out who you want to be or who you are at the moment.
Yeah.
So trying to do that with a relationship in high school can be rough. I definitely give props to people that have lasted from high school on.
Like high school sweethearts. I don't know how
Good
they
job,
do it.
guys.
Yeah.
My first relationship wasn't really, wouldn't really call it a relationship, but I was quite a bit younger than him, and we met just on a whim through my cousin who was in the Army, and we didn't really talk about anything. I didn't communicate with him whatsoever. It was more of like just
like you're just hanging out and yeah, that's kind of how mine was too. I mean, we were like friends for a while, then we talked for a long time, and then finally we were like, okay, let's try dating. And then after we kind of started dating, or what you classify dating, I guess, in high school, it went like downhill from there.
Right. Did you learn to communicate from watching your parents?
Sure did not. Well, my mom got married when I was like 5 years old or something, around there. She got married, and they were married for a while, and they had the worst communication ever. And then they got divorced when I was in like middle school. So I never really had like a stable relationship to kind of like mentor, like to be like to like look up to and get advice from. So yeah, I didn't really have anyone to like, this is what you should do and this is what it's like. I kind of just had to learn it by myself.
Right. That's kind of how it was with my mom too. She had a few boyfriends over the years and then eventually had one boyfriend that lived with us. And I don't really remember them ever communicating about anything.
Yeah.
But I didn't really look up to her relationship in any way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The one relationship I probably did look up to was my grandparents, and even then they communicated in a kind of a rough way. And I learned that, and when I did start dating Nick, it was hard because I came about it the wrong way when talking to him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's hard when you like don't learn how to communicate, and like parents are supposed to teach you that, but I get that like relationships are hard, so our parents don't always have the best relationships, but then we watch that and then we're like, but all we see is fighting. So that's like what we're used to. Like for me, when I first started dating TJ, like it was the first thing to do is fight because that's what I was used to. The yelling and the storming off and things like that. That was just like habit. Like that's just what you did in my house.
Yeah.
So it's hard to figure out that that's not what people do.
Right. Like growing up, you think that is the quote normal because you watch that all your life pretty much. And then when you get into a new relationship and you like watch your husband or boyfriends or partners' parents and how they communicate, and you're like, oh, wow, okay. Gotta scratch everything I've already learned. And when I first started dating Nick, I was definitely like, oh, you did this, and very accusatory, and I was just crazy, I think. And he kind of taught me like, hey, we're going to talk this out. We're going to do this.
Like hash it out.
Yeah. And we're not going to, I don't know, just get mad at each other. Just get mad at each other.
Right. So how do you think that you guys resolve arguments now? Is it better than how you used to?
Yes, definitely. I do, the guys usually just ask you like, are you mad? And you're like, I'm fine. I still do that every once in a while when I'm in a bad mood. But just knowing that you do need to tell them how you feel in that moment or what they did to make you feel that way is important. Even if you don't feel like doing that and you just want to storm off and be dramatic.
Yeah.
You just need to not do that. And I definitely go and take a break. I'll be like, I just need a break from you for a second.
Just breathe.
Just do something.
Because then if you don't have that break and you just come in hot and heavy, it could explode and turn into way worse of a situation.
For sure.
Because then you just start saying a bunch of stuff that you don't mean or
bringing up the past.
I'll shut myself out. And like if I'm getting mad about something, I'll just shut down and he'll be like, why are you mad? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, and then I'll just name a bunch of things. But usually it's like a bunch of random things that happened like 2 weeks ago that aren't even relevant.
Right. You just like bottle them up and
then it just explodes.
Pour them on them.
Yes.
Who usually apologizes first in your guys' arguments or?
I don't know. I'm definitely one. I don't like to let things rest. So if something is bothering me or I feel like we haven't come to a conclusion yet, like I'll just continue to bring it up until if I feel like it's resolved. So I feel like I bring it up a lot, but TJ is one to really realize like, you know what, I could be better at this, or we should do this, or, like let's put this plan in action to have more date nights or do whatever it is that we're fighting about. So I think we're both pretty good about not like letting things go and like actually coming to a solution.
Right. Or like we're doing this wrong, so let's change this to kind of prevent that from happening again in the future.
Yeah.
I know Nick is usually the one that comes in who's like, hey, I definitely have a pride issue. I'm like, no. But yeah. What kinds of things do you do in those moments that you wish you could change?
I wish I was better at shutting myself off. Like, I wish I didn't just shut down, and I put up like a really big, I feel like I have like an emotional like wall up anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So to get through that is hard in general. And then once I get mad, and I could not be mad at him. I could just have like a bad day or be in just a crappy mood. I'll put like all my walls up and I'll just shut down, and I'm like, I'm not talking to you. I just want to go lay in bed, and I'll just go lay in bed for like 3 hours by myself.
Right.
So I wish I was better at just being like, you know what, this is how I'm feeling, and like just reaching out. I wish I was better about reaching out.
Same here. And just going up, and after there is an argument, or I just wish that I would go up to him more and like just give him a hug and be like, I'm so sorry. But I do realize that I need to do that more.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that more. But something in me is just like, no.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of just some tips when there is that conflict, or you guys do have arguments, even for us. Like, we're telling us
we need these
ourselves
too.
this. Stay focused on the initial thing you are discussing or disagreeing about. Don't bring up the past or other topics.
Don't think about what you are about to say next instead of actively listening to your partner. Like, make sure that you're actually listening to what they're saying instead of just thinking about all the negative things in your mind. Like, try and actually pay attention to what they're saying.
And I think that's a big issue with any relationship, like friends or family. You're always trying to think about what you're saying next instead of
because you're always on the defense. Like, you're always trying to defend yourself and always putting up a fight for yourself. So you need to just realize, like, we're both mad and both of our feelings are hurt, and we're both, like with friends, both of you are coming from a place of feelings, and so you need to listen and like make sure that they feel heard and validated.
Right. Yeah, you want to put yourself in their shoes and try to understand how they are feeling. I think it's super important, because even though you feel hurt by them, understanding that they feel hurt too, or they feel sad about this or mad that you did this, you have to understand like why.
I think it's really important, like in a relationship role, for me to put myself like in TJ's shoes, because we grew up differently, and he's a man. So like we express our emotions differently, we handle things differently. So what I could be upset about or crying over, he could not even realize that it's that big of a deal, or he could also be upset as well, but he doesn't show his emotions,
Right.
as much as like we would. So for me to like put myself in his shoes and see his side of things and be like, wow, I can see it from like his side and see why he's upset. I think that is helpful. Make sure that you're not getting defensive when there's criticism, and try to empathize when they're what they're trying to tell you. So make sure that you're not just always being defensive and putting up a wall and being angry. Like, make sure you really say, you know what, like, you are right. Like, I can see how I could have hurt your feelings. And sometimes you don't even know that you're hurting someone's feelings. But if they tell you, you need to reflect and say, that was kind of rude of me, or wow, I could see how that was upsetting to you.
Yep. And just saying those words like, oh, that's true, or you're right, that can be so important, even though it's hard to say those words. Like, you can see the relief on their face when you do say that. Like, oh, she actually understands, like they're getting it, or him. Take accountability and know that it is okay to be wrong. Putting your pride before your relationship can be disheartening. Make sure to admit your responsibility in a conflict. It often inspires the other person to respond in kind. leading you both closer to mutual understanding and a solution?
Make sure that you're using the like I sentences or like messages when you're communicating. Don't just attack someone. No one wants to be attacked. So make sure, and kind of with the accountability, like make sure you're taking into account what you're feeling, and make sure that you're understanding that they need to see where you're coming from instead of just straight on attacking them and blaming them and saying, if you did this, I would be happy, or if you did this, or you did this, whatever. Make sure you say, I'm feeling this way because of this.
Because
or,
this happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, let's change this. Look for a compromise. Don't try to be right.
I think that's really hard, especially with relationships. Like, you always want to be right.
Yeah.
TJ always wants to be right. Here, it's always right. So we have to look at each other and say, in this instance, you are right.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this instance, maybe you're not right. And you need to just listen and reflect and say, you know what? I could be better at that. Like, I could bring her flowers more, or I could be like, yeah, I could sit there and watch football more, or whatever he enjoys.
What he wants.
Yeah.
Very important. I think Nick is definitely more of a realist, and I'm more emotionally, like, I don't know how to say it, but I look at things emotionally. So,
And he just looks at like facts and
yeah, he'll be like, Katie, look at it how she would look at it. Okay. Yeah. Like, you need to just take everything in instead of just how you feel, you know? And I'm like, yeah, that does make sense. I just gotta calm down.
And sometimes it's nice to just talk to people. Like, even if me and TJ are fighting or whatever, or me and whoever, but I come to you about it, or like just talking to someone, like talking it through, gets so many feelings out and really opens your eyes. And Definitely. You're not just like in your own mind constantly like spinning and thinking about all the other things. Like,
just anxiety.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when we have friends over and they leave, I'm like, oh, I said this. I sound so stupid. Like, why did I do that? And then Nick's like, shut up. Like,
you're fine.
Like, they come over every week. Calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take a break. So if you just need to walk away to kind of calm things down before you come back into conversation with your partner, that is very vital. Sometimes when it gets very heated, or you're escalating how the conversation's going, just like stop. Walk away.
Usually once I get initially mad and I kind of can see myself just getting mad and I'm gonna explode, I'll just say like, I'm gonna go lay in bed, and I'll just go lay in bed for like 2 hours or whenever. And eventually like TJ will come in and he'll be like, let's talk. Like, so usually I'll go to lay in bed, or sometimes I'll take like a really hot shower and I'll just stand in there forever, or sometimes I'll go like on a run or something. But just taking that break and really thinking it through, because I know, like, for me, my anger is so bad that I get mad over the littlest things and I will flip a switch.
Yeah.
And I'll just freak out, and then I'll just get mad, and I'll bring up everything about the past, and I'll bring up everything. So for me, having a break is really important to like only stay on topic.
Right.
And like really understand what we're arguing about, because it could, and then after I take my break, I could be like, wow, that was really stupid. Like,
yeah. And it kind of brings your mind back to like, why did this fight even start?
Yeah. Because sometimes I'm like,
why did we even do this?
Yeah.
I definitely shut down before I get mad, or like before I start saying things I regret, or like even bringing up those past situations. I just shut down, and he is usually like, you're not going to say anything else? Like, tell me what's wrong. Tell me how you feel. I'm like, I don't know how to talk to you right now. I'm like shutting down because
you don't know how to express it.
Yeah. And like my chest is like hot and my brain's just like all over, and he doesn't understand that. He's like, just tell me how you feel. But it is hard in those moments. So usually I just tell him like, I just need a break and we'll talk about this a little bit later. And that usually is good. Ask for help from a mutual party, like you were saying, whether that be from a therapist, a friend, or other trusted person.
I think that's important. I know, so like we're Catholic, and I know when you get married in the church, you usually get like a mentor couple.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends are in the process of getting married and everything right now, so they have a mentor couple. So I think that's really important, like to have someone older than you. And sometimes it shouldn't be your parents, because like I don't want to go to TJ's parents and be like, I'm fighting with your son.
Mm-hmm.
Or you don't want to talk about certain things that are like happening in your house with your parents. So to have someone like with the church giving you like a mentor couple or something like that, or even just like friends, I guess, like if we have friends, like you guys have been married obviously longer than we have and stuff. So just having someone like that you can reach out to that may have experienced the same things that you're going through.
Yeah. And asking, like, is this normal? Like, should I be mad about this? Or, like, I don't know, just reaching out to that person can be a little bit leveling to what you guys are going through.
Yeah.
What we do when we have days or moments or attacks, I think it's especially what goes when we have anxiety attacks or panic attacks. Nick usually just like lets me go in the bedroom, just chill out for hours until I'm ready to come back. And he'll take care of the kids and make sure I have water or whatever I need and just give me some chill time.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm like breathing okay and ready to come back up.
I think it's hard. So with depression, like when we first started dating, I was away at college and I pretty much had like no friends. I was all alone in my dorm room and stuff. And so like TJ would text me all day and I would just not respond. And he would be like, oh, like, did you have a bad day? And so he kind of started to understand, like, you know, like if I did have a day where I literally just woke up and I was like so depressed and I didn't want to do anything and I had no motivation to literally get out of bed, he would like kind of notice that. And even like now he notices that. So then he is really good about, you know, saying, you know what, you had a bad day. Like I'll have dinner cooked when you get home and I'll do the dishes and I'll like make sure everything's done. Mm-hmm. So then if we get in a fight and usually when I have a bad day is when I'm already on edge. So I'll just pick a fight for whatever reason. He'll be really good about noticing, like, you know, she's just arguing because she's like in that mood or whatever. So he'll just be like, go away. Like, you need to he'll literally tell me, like, you need to calm down. It's not that bad. Like, get over it. Let's move on. Like, yeah. So I think it's good when you've been with someone for so long that, and they really can see your triggers. Mm-hmm. Because he knows, like,
they know
when you go around certain people or when you do certain things, like, it triggers you. Mm-hmm. And so he knows, like, oh, today we're going to so-and-so's house or we're going to wherever. Like, I know it's going to be a bad day because she's going to be in a bad mood.
Alrighty. We did want to bring into this topic specifically about the 5 love languages. And I know we posted on our group the other day and just had you guys take like the quiz to find out what is your love languages. It was really surprising actually because we didn't have a whole lot of people have physical touch.
Yeah, that was probably so like weird. The least one. A lot of people that I thought would be physical touch, or like what I thought a lot of people would be, was not what they were.
Right. Like I think the only ones that were physical touch was like our friend like Colleen and my sister-in-law Chelsea, which I was like, wow, like why aren't there's more people that have this. Do you know what TJ's is?
I don't. He didn't do it because he's not
rude.
He doesn't participate very well. But I would say that his is, I would say TJ is physical touch, or I would say physical touch.
That's what I thought Nick was, but his is acts of service.
Oh, really?
And I was like, well, physical touch can go into that.
I feel like he does acts of service.
Yeah.
So I guess that might make sense.
Yeah. It's definitely weird. Nobody in our group And nobody that I really know of had gifts
Yeah, I've never.
as their love
Yeah,
language.
I mean, I've never really talked to anyone who is the gifts. So mine was words of affirmation.
Same here. Yeah.
Which is basically just like acknowledgement, like I love you, compliments, I appreciate you, I'm proud of you, things like that, which is 100% me because if I don't hear it enough from TJ or, if he doesn't say I love you as much as I think he should or that I'm proud of you, like I'll ask him like a million times, like, do you love me? Are you proud of me? Like,
Yeah. Did you like the dinner I cooked?
yeah.
Is
Why?
it okay?
Or I'm like, why don't you ever post a picture of me on social media? And he's like, I don't ever get on social media. Like,
Right.
But to me, I'm like, that's what shows me that you care when you express those things verbally or you tell other people or like show me off or whatever. Like that's kind of that's how I feel.
Yep. That's what mine is too. I definitely love when he's like, oh, I'm just so proud of you. And like, you're such a good mom and just things like that. It just makes you feel so like loved and like, oh my God,
it just
I
like
love
lifts you up. You're like, oh my gosh, I like, thank you for being proud of me. Like to have someone say I'm proud of you, like that is the best feeling ever.
Yeah, it literally just fills you up with like just goodness.
You feel warm inside.
The next love language is physical touch. It's just like feel loved when you receive physical signs of affection, PDA. And physical intimacy and touch can be incredibly affirming and serve as a powerful emotional connector for people with this love language. The roots go back to our childhood. Some people only felt deep affection and love by their parents when they were held, kissed, or touched. The next one is quality time. A lot of people had this in our group.
Yeah.
They feel most adored when their partner actively wants to spend time with them and is always down to hang out. They particularly love when they are active listening, eye contact, and full presence are prioritized hallmarks in the relationship.
I feel like quality time is probably like my second. I love just like us going to dinner, just us two, or like a Saturday night and just us two with our dogs and like, in our little house and just doing whatever, like watching football usually.
Oh yeah.
And I think I would say TJ's is quality time or physical touch as well.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll have him do the quiz. The next one is acts of service, which is when you value when your partner goes out of their way to make your life easier or does things like bring you soup, cook for you, clean for you, like when you come home and your house is clean, or
oh my God,
they're just they're doing things that they know that you would appreciate, like they're doing your laundry or they're buying you flowers or they're doing things that you would appreciate. I didn't see too many of those.
I think that was like the second one.
Yeah, I think that one and like quality time or like
and then
everyone had
the words of affirmation was a popular one too. But I think that's my second one because I love it. This sounds stupid, but like when Nick goes into the gas station and is like pump gas, he's like, oh, I will go get Katie this because I know she loves it. And that's just like so sweet to me.
Yeah.
Or like he'll come home and make sure the kitchen's cleaned and dinner's cooked. And I'm like, oh my God, yes, you did that.
I think it's funny, like growing up with like not a good relationship like role model or whatever, to have someone who thinks like, you know what, I know that she really loves peanut M&Ms, so when I go to the store I pick her up some peanut M&Ms, or she really appreciates flowers, so I'm gonna get her flowers. To have someone, it like really opens your eyes and like you're like, wow, they really did think of me, or it kind of brings you back to reality, like wow, they really do like me, love me, whatever.
Yeah, it's just like the little details that they know or remember that you said probably once. And they're like, oh, yeah, got you, baby. Gifts. Okay. Nobody had this, which is really just surprising to me. But you feel loved when people give you visual symbols of love. It's not about the monetary value, but the symbolic thought behind the item. People with this style recognize and value the gift-giving process, the careful reflection, the deliberate choosing of the object to represent the relationship.
TJ is so good at giving gifts, and
Yeah.
he gives them all the time. Like, he will be on Facebook or Twitter usually, and like an ad will pop up, and he'll be like, "Oh my God, she would love this," and it would be something random. Like, this one time, he bought me this really good coffee, and he's like, "I know you like coffee, so I really wanted you to try this brand," or like things like that. Or he'll just be out and he'll be like, "Wow, like she'd really enjoy this," or. And I'm just like, how do you even think of that? But he's the worst with keeping it a gift. He'll come home and immediately be like, I have to give this to you right now because I can't keep it.
That's how I am too. Like, I'll, yeah, like you said, see something, and I'll be like, oh, Nick, like, he has to have this. It would be so cute to give this to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't keep it a secret either. Just
He's
like his
the worst.
his whole birthday was not a surprise, even though it was supposed to be, because I was just like, oh, I'm so excited for tonight. And he's like, what's tonight? I'm like, oh shit, I'm sorry.
He's ruined everything.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's important to understand like your partner's love language and how they could be different from yours?
Because you have to love your partner in the way they want to be loved, not how you want to love them. So physical touch could be nowhere on the radar for your partner. And that may be hard for you, but you have to take in consideration what fills them emotionally, what makes them happy. And then they'll turn around and they'll give you your love language.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I
And
think
it is
needs
important
be
to
a
know
good
that.
balance.
Yeah.
Like, you just have to balance what's important to each other.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, it's just a give and take. Give and take.
Yep. How much do you pay attention to love language of your relationship?
You know, I really don't pay that much attention to it. I remember doing this, like when I was in college. I think in one of our classes we did the love languages. But I don't really. I know what we each value, and I know what we each like. But we don't really look at each other and say, you know, like he's really like he needs some quality time, and maybe we should think of it more. But I don't think we really don't make an effort to really like consider the love languages.
Yeah. The more I think about it, it is just like simple terms. If you're feeling sad, or if you're feeling like you guys aren't connecting as much as like last week, or, you know, like a month ago, just kind of look at what you guys have been doing and how things have changed. And then if you break it down and you're like, oh, well, we haven't actually been spending this much time together, or, oh, we haven't been, you know, physically together with each other, and like, oh, that's what this person likes. Like, okay, let's get back into that, not rotation, but like get back into that so we can kind of get back together on your communication with your partner and connection.
I think that's probably when we focus on it the most as well, is like when we kind of feel ourselves like tension building or fighting. You like reflect. Like, I know when we first moved in together like 2 years ago, we used to hang out all the time. So we were together a lot. We moved in together, and we kind of started realizing like we're just not, I don't know, we just weren't, like, we saw each other every day. We came home and ate dinner every day, but we were on our phones, or we were watching movies, we were watching TV, which is fine sometimes. But we really were noticing like we really needed to like put our phones away, like go sit at the dinner table. Like, I know you and Nick gave us this advice, like have dinner at the dinner table and have that actual dinner meal time as like a family, even though it's just us two.
Right. It's
And
still your
just,
family.
yeah, and sit there and actually like have that quality time. And I think that really helped. Like, it helped us a lot when we moved in together.
Yeah, good. And that's how I grew up too. Like, we always would just eat dinner on the couch and watch TV, and nobody talked.
That's how we were
the whole night. And I'm just like, okay. And then we moved into his parents' house, and we all ate dinner together, and we were all having conversations, and it was just like, you know,
I think like his family has a really good balance. Like, we do family dinners and stuff, and we all sit there. And but then other times, like when it would just like when he still lived at home, and I would just go over there like on a weekday or whatever for dinner, like we could eat on the couch and stuff. But we always had conversation. Like, it was always active. Like, none of us were ever on our phones really. But when I was a kid, our lives were so busy we were always doing something, running around somewhere. Like I was in a ton of sports.
Yeah.
So I think that played a big role too with not having like the normal dinner and meal time.
Yeah. And like you said, his family has family dinners every week, and we kind of started that on my side of the family. And I like got that idea from his side.
Yeah,
and I was
so
like,
did
well,
I.
why don't we just do this every week and get together? But yeah, the effects of lack of communication. So more misunderstanding, feeling unseen, and ultimately lonely.
Yeah. I think communication goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's hard because I don't like to open up, or I just want to shut everyone out and be by myself. And I think that's really common when you have depression or even anxiety or things. You're like, let me just shut everyone out because it's easier. Which also increases the desire to look elsewhere for needs. If I feel like TJ's not understanding me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not happy anymore. This relationship's not working. But it could be me not talking to him about my feelings.
Yeah, that's how it is too. Like, I feel like I'm a loner. I just like to be alone and be cooped up, and like I'll craft or I'll read and just like get into my own world. And I think that is like a defense mechanism too. You just kind of like shut the world out and get into your own way. But yeah. Increased desire to look elsewhere for needs. Ooh. Less physical and emotional intimacy. Increasing resentment and argumentative behavior. An escalated conflict and a negative perspective of your partner, which I think is...
So with the less physical and emotional intimacy with communication, kind of going back to the love languages, if your partner has the physical touch love language and you don't, you need to communicate that.
Yeah.
Is if your partner's wanting to do physical intimacy or even emotional, like, just being there and whatever, but you're not, that can lead into looking for needs elsewhere. That can
they all
lead
roll
to
together.
conflict and a negative perspective. So like what normally would happen is like, you're like, oh, you don't want to be intimate with me. You don't love me.
Right.
You don't find me attractive.
Which is technically, from their perspective, is right, because they need that.
But I'm like, I do find you attractive and I do love you. I just don't want to do that all the time, or I don't, like, that's not on my to-do list.
Yeah, and it can be hard for a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some healthy communication tips. We're just going to say a few of these. It should never be about who's winning or who's right. You guys should be on the same team. Like, make sure that you guys are fighting for your relationship, not fighting for yourselves.
Yep.
I think that's really important, to make sure that you're not like, I'm right, you're wrong, which I think is really easy to do. But just realize, like, you both are fighting for each other and fighting for a solution to help your relationship.
Yep. It's not you versus him. It's like you guys.
Yeah.
Ask open-ended questions that go beyond yes and no answers. Start questions with what or how. Like, what did you do today? Instead of,
like, did you have a good day?
Like, did you have a good day today? Yeah. Don't assume anything. Always ask. I think this is super important.
Yeah. I mean, we're taught as kids to not assume anything. It never ends right. It never ends well. You always assume the wrong thing, usually. Even with friends, I could be like...
Yeah, very... Because you don't see your friends as often either. So you're like, oh, she hates me.
And through text messages.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Yeah. Because you can read text. I can read a text that you sent completely different than how you sent it.
And I'll ask you too. Like, I'll send you like
did
stuff.
You mean
like,
this? Is this how you meant it?
What does this person mean by saying this? Make your problems about your needs and boundaries before pointing the finger on them. So kind of just take everything that happened in and be like, okay, just calm down. Am I okay with this? Like, why did this make me feel the way that I feel?
Make sure that you're actively listening. No distractions. Don't have your phones out. And I know it's easy when you're like mad. You're just like, I'm going to be on my phone and not pay attention to him. But make sure that you are actually in the conversation. Don't be afraid to talk about uncomfortable topics. So I know, like, me and TJ, have had to get better at this since living together, like things that that really make us uncomfortable or upset, or like with my family and his family, the things that, we never really talked about when we don't live together.
Mm-hmm.
We've had to really dive into that recently, and I think that's really important.
Mm-hmm. And like, I don't know, this is probably, he's gonna be so mad I'm talking about this, but he grew up in like a weird school that they literally never learned about sex.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he didn't know where the baby was when I was pregnant, like didn't know about anything about sex. So he does feel a little
uncultured.
Yeah, he feels a little bit uncomfortable talking about sex. And like, if the boys, like his friends, mess with him about shit, he gets so red because he like
doesn't know.
Yeah, he doesn't. He's like, how do I take this? I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But so that can be hard, but just know that that's your partner. That's who you chose. That's who you're going to talk to forever.
You have to teach him all the lessons, Katie.
Yeah. Don't use technology as your main source of communication within your relationship. Yeah, don't text all day. Like, if you're texting them all day, you don't have anything to talk about when you get home and have that quality time.
Yeah.
So, request things from your partner, but never demand them. Like, hey, go get me a water.
Yeah, I think that's really important. So, TJ is really good, and I think his grandma loves flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, when he was a kid, he was always told, like, always take your grandma flowers because that will make her day. So I think he's really used to getting people flowers, but when we didn't live together and stuff, it was hard. I would be like, why don't I have flowers? Like, I need flowers. I need them. And so just like, I had to change it and make him aware that I appreciated the flowers and I would like flowers, but I don't demand them. They're not like a necessity for me to survive.
Right.
But they're nice.
Yeah, it's nice every once in a while.
Yeah.
Do a weekly relationship check-in, which I think is really cool. Like, we've never talked about this, but I think it would be nice to do.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. So just kind of some things you want to talk about when doing a relationship check-in. And there will be links in the description about this, so if you want to look into it more. But one of the things is, like, tell each other what you are grateful for about them. Like, hey, I'm so glad that you helped me out with the dishes all night or all week. Like, that was so cool.
It's so easy to, you do dishes for like 2 days in a row. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm the only one that ever does dishes.
Right.
But for you, like, it would be a really good idea to sit down like once a week and be like, wow, you know what? We both pretty much did the dishes together. And we, and saying like, I appreciate you. I know me and TJ argue a lot about just like our future and what it looks like and what we want and like all the things. And it's hard for me to realize all the little things that he does just for our future, like his job and going to, and like getting his degree and just all the little things that we both do that will hopefully add up to us having a good future.
Yeah.
So I think just acknowledging those and saying like, I do appreciate that you go to work every day.
Yeah.
Like, that's nice. Thank you.
What is something that I can do this upcoming week to help you feel loved? Like, okay, like, I just need you to feel, or I need to feel appreciated. If you could just tell me that. Mm-hmm. Do you think you will need more alone time or more time together this week? And it does vary week by week. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just want to be together with that person all the time.
Or sometimes you're like, I'm going out to have sushi with my girlfriends because I don't want to be with you right now.
Like, I just
sometimes you do. You're just like, I see you every day and I'm with you. I need a little space, have your own little time.
Exactly. Is there any way our sex life could be better?
Great question.
I mean,
you can always improve.
You never know. Yeah.
Experiment a little.
Anything else that you would like to share? So those are just some questions. There will be more definitely when you click the link. There'll be like a full thing you guys can go through. And you don't have to do every single one. You can just do a couple. But yeah, I think those are just some tips that will help you in healthy communication with your partner. And I think that's it for the topic this week. But
all right. So I hope you guys enjoyed listening to our podcast. Feel free to reach out to me or Katie in our Facebook group. It's also called Uncorked. And we'll have that linked below as well. We would love to have some more members. and just build that community. And if you guys could comment any like topic ideas or anything that you guys want to see in our group or on the podcast, please let us know. So before we go, let's go ahead and talk about our wine and rate it, since we've been drinking it this whole time.
Yep. And again, it's the Jolly Juice from Country Heritage. It's a winery that's in Fort Wayne. I think it's technically Fort Wayne, but
I think it's in Huntertown technically.
gotcha. But it's super nice. They have like a cute little country vibe. They do live music
And food trucks and
all the things. It's really nice. This is really good. It's super sweet.
So
really
it's definitely
fruity.
one of my favorites. So every time TJ would go to the store, he would bring me home a bottle of wine so I could like stock up before they went out, because they're only around during Christmas. So I have like 4 bottles at home, I think. It's so good. It's very sweet. So make sure that you like sweet if you want to buy it.
Super smooth and very easy to
smooth.
drink.
Yes. It's so
It's not
good.
like last week where
It's not bubbly. It's just a sweet, good red table wine
Yes.
to have like with dinner. It's great.
I would rate this one probably like a 8.5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it like a 9.5 out of 10.
I know, it's your favorite.
It's my favorite.
We definitely have like a little tiny bit differences in wine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really good. Oh, Nick said that producer Nick said it's Leato, Indiana, just to let you guys know.
Producer Nick. Shout out to producer Nick.
Yeah, thank you guys.
For doing all the behind the scenes action. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and follow and download our podcast, like our video. Join us on Facebook. We would love to have you guys and let us know if we can do anything better or do anything at all. So thank you guys for listening. We hope you guys have a good week.
Yeah, we'll get to you guys next week.